We are witnessing a world where the feed never stops and prompts replace process. Living in an era that is shaped by algorithmic influence, what becomes of the designer's voice? Today, we are honored to have with us Petrula Vrontikis, a graphic designer, educator, speaker, content creator, and career coach who has spent decades empowering creative professionals to trust their instincts, clarify their voice, and speak confidently about their work. For over 30 years, Petrula has served as a professor of graphic design and professional practice at ArtCenter College in Design in Pasadena, California. Her impact extends beyond the classroom. Through her thought leadership and conference talks, she has helped define what it means to be in design with both purpose and ethics in mind. Petrula is also the recipient of the AIGA Fellow Award, recognized for her lasting contributions to the design industry and honoring her as an essential voice raising the understanding of design within the industry and among the business and cultural communities of Los Angeles. Petrula teaches us not only how to make things, but in a way that reclaims intention, identity, and creative authorship. With our host, Heather Crank, Petrula will share a rich conversation on the tension between visibility and voice, the power of creative resistance, and why being human may just be the new designer's superpower.
Thank you so much, Drew. Welcome, Petrula. It is so wonderful to have you on the podcast. I've been following you for a while. We met on Clubhouse, and I just thought you were spectacular. So welcome to the Developing Life.
Thanks, Heather. It's so nice to see the Developing Life podcast take shape for you. How exciting.
Yes. So I just want to jump right in. You have taught at ArtCenter for 30 years, and you teach design. You're well known in your community. What drew you to teaching at the ArtCenter? How'd you get there?
Well, I had known about ArtCenter since high school. I had an amazing art teacher, and he had some of his students go on and learn at ArtCenter. I didn't go there. I went to Cal State Long Beach, and I got accepted at ArtCenter, but I decided I couldn't afford to do it. So I sort of committed myself to a lot more learning the hard way. And it worked out okay. I also went to University of Denver. But fast forward to after I had worked for a couple of the design firms, and then I started my own business in my late 20s. I had gotten a really good start in a business, and I had some amazing clients and got some national awards.
Wow.
So what happened is that information got to ArtCenter, and what was happening then is ArtCenter was actually looking for a diversity hire. They had too many old guys that had gone to ArtCenter teaching, and that just became this ArtCenter way. So the president and the department chair said, we need some fresh perspective. So, do you know anybody? And because I had been involved in the AIG at the time, they asked me, and they tested me, and it was really so frightening because at the time you didn't get much educational training. I had no educational credentials. And I'm thrown into this room with these amazing students, like phenomenal students. And it took me a while to get over my fear. And I just thought, okay, I'm just going to teach what I know. What I know is how to transition in a graceful and accelerated way into being able to bring your voice out into the field. And so what I would do is I'd take half the class and we'd do critiques on our design assignments. But then I'd take half the class and I'd talk about freelancing, invoicing, how to talk to clients, how to find clients, how to structure a small business, what the greater design economy is like. And I gave them everything I knew and tried to be super authentic. And it worked. What I didn't realize is how rare that is for faculty at art and design colleges to do that for students. There really aren't classes in that. They might, programs might bring in a business person, but design students don't want to hear it from a business person. They want to hear it from another designer. So what I have been really cultivating over the years is something super valuable. It's a need that is not being filled, and it's gone really well. Now I teach professional practice and leadership classes in our undergraduate, in our MFA program, and also in our MDes program, which is brand design and strategy, as a master's program. And I love it. The students really respond to it. They need it. And I just think ArtCenter is just really one of the coolest places to teach ever.
Yeah, there are a lot of amazing people who come out of ArtCenter. I find I'm gravitating towards people who are coming out of ArtCenter because they're so brilliant and the education is so robust. And I agree with you. A lot of the art college I went to didn't teach a lot about business, and it was a struggle. And I just think that's an incredible service that you give your students. Incredible.
Well, I also want to say that it's inherent in the way traditional education works that a lot of people that are teaching are out of practice. At ArtCenter, it's often the case that teachers have their own practices and then they teach part-time. That's common there. But most colleges, faculty have to commit 100% of their time to education, and I think they really don't have practical chops developed. They don't know what's current. So it's and that's not a judgment. It's just how it works in the way traditional education works. But what I started to see is there became this sort of us and them about clients, like those bad clients. They're going to get in the way of my brilliance, and it created this idea of animosity between graphic designers and clients that I just don't buy into at all.
I don't either. Yeah. Agreed. It's a collaboration. It's a collaborative sort of dance between the designer and the client. If you don't have clients, who are you? So let's talk for a minute about what you would consider good design and how you feel the algorithm is changing the way we perceive design and we interact with each other. Do you notice a difference in your students?
I'm noticing not as much a difference in my students, but a difference in the way design is being practiced. My definition of good design has really changed. I think good design is having a sustainable creative career over time. So in the past, we used to really be excited about particular trends, or we used to go to design conferences and hear about these design luminaries that were really artists that were using graphic design as a medium.
Yes.
And they would, they'd still have that kind of a bit of an us and them thing, and everyone would go rah, rah, rah. And I just don't find that to be what happens now. I mean, good design is about good relationships with clients that withstand the test of time. We forget that good design is invested in by clients. Like, they're making investments in us, not just in our rigor and our talent, but in our ability to see things they can't see. And we forget that it's frightening to hire a designer. I think I respect designers the most that have excellent business practice. I think one of my favorite designers is Michael B. Root. I just think good design goes beyond design. The man understands his craft, impeccable craft, right? But he's a leader, he's a speaker, he's a writer. Like, good design is beyond design. And the career that man has had and how many other designers he's influenced, I mean, I just amazing. And I think Brian Collins represents a really good designer like that. And I was listening to Paula Scher
Oh.
on a podcast, Rick Rubin's Tetragrammaton
Hmm.
podcast.
Hmm.
And she was so funny because Rick Rubin was asking her about, does she do research? And she paused, and I'm like, oh my God, like I was holding, wow, she said, yeah, I research who makes decisions within the company. And that's the best research I can do to help my design.
Yeah.
So I just think it's important to elevate design communities and in business communities. And I think in regards to the algorithm, it's really sort of there's good things and bad things. It's easier because as a designer, things are automated, and some things that are mundane we can do faster.
Hmm.
But what I'm finding is, of course, now we're getting a lot of pressure to design for algorithms.
Hmm.
And so the problem with designing for algorithms is that there's a lot of people hacking the algorithms. So we find ourselves designing for the algorithms that are being hacked by the algorithms. And it's really a challenge because we want to be innovative. And if you think about what an algorithm is doing, it's telling you what's happened in the past and what's happening in the present and in the present moment. But it doesn't allow for innovation. So there's a certain recirculation there. And I think it does inhibit our ability to convince and persuade clients to take greater risks.
Yeah.
Um, I I'm just seeing so much of that faith in what we do as innovators go down, and our accountability to
Mhm.
numbers and graphs and charts and and this go up. And I hope some graphic designers find inspiration in that. I'm finding it very hard.
Mm. Do you find,
We're
okay,
constantly asking, is that right? Is that good enough? How does it test? It's a benchmark that is based is not future oriented. It's present oriented. And I think the space is really getting contaminated.
hmm
Um, and frankly, we're not trained to navigate that space. It is an enormous shift. So we're taken aback by it, and I'm not sure it enables us to do our best work. Not that graphic designers are amazing. I mean, we'll probably figure it out, but it is one of these massive change aspects that we'll just have to see how that shakes out.
I mean,
Um,
the change also has been really quick. I mean,
yes.
it's just been such a rapid um, reconfiguration of the design landscape, and I find myself struggling. It's moving so fast; it's hard to keep up with everything now.
Mhm.
And on top of that, um, the tools are changing, the demands are changing. What advice do you give your students in this new landscape? Like, how do you encourage them to hold true to what makes good design versus what's quick and easy?
They feel it.
Mhm.
I just I don't have I mean I can help them verbalize what it is that's going on, but they're feeling that anxiety. So, Heather, it's happened so fast. I can't tell you something that I am absolutely doing that I know works for this.
Mhm.
It's like a work in progress.
Yeah.
I think what AI is doing for our students is phenomenal. I see so much expansiveness in their creativity, their thought, their writing. I'm not feeling like they're using it as a cheat. I think they're using it for incredible ways of expanding. One of our best faculty in our department is here. His name's Gerardo Herrera, and you guys should look him up. He is really bringing how designers' relationship to AI can really elevate what a designer's message is. So we're welcoming so many of these tools, and we're seeing it's like on the ground. We're seeing how it's working in real time.
Yeah.
Hope that answered your question. I wish I
It
had this.
No, no, no. It did. I mean, it is. We're at an inflection point. It's a
Yeah.
really weird space. I also find that it's a very rebellious act to take a technology, make it your own, and turn it into something more positive. And I see a lot of designers doing that. I see a lot of artists um,
Heather, you
saying,
were one of the first. Come
"Oh,
on.
geez."
You were breaking ground years ago. And I just really, really appreciated the work that you were doing. I just found it sublime.
Oh, thank you. Thank
So
you.
you should be answering this question.
Oh, Petrula, putting me on the spot. You love it. Speaking of, all right, so I want to go back just a little bit.
Okay.
You and I met on Clubhouse, and we
Yes.
were speaking before this podcast began about you discovering that you are more of an auditory learner.
Yeah.
And Clubhouse was, during the pandemic, was this amazing platform where people connected. And I think I met you through Chris Doe originally.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and then I met Annalie Hansen. So I'd love to know, how are you connected with Chris and Annalie? How did you meet them?
So Chris was at ArtCenter. I never had him as a student, but Chris started making waves really very quickly out of ArtCenter, and he
Mhm.
established Blind, and
Mhm.
he and I became colleagues and friends. And when he went on Clubhouse, he's like, Petrula, you have to be there. Petrula, you have to go there. And again, when Chris says you got to do something, I do it, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And it was so interesting because I just found that space in auditory learning to be one of the most satisfying things for me. And
Mhm.
I kind of learned this early on because when I was doing LinkedIn learning videos,
Mhm.
LinkedIn tells you that people learn differently. Sometimes when they're watching a video or when they have a LinkedIn learning video, they'll turn the video off and they'll just listen, or they'll
Oh.
watch the video with the transcriptions.
Mhm.
So one of the things asynchronous learning does is it helps you customize your learning. So I didn't realize until that audio app Clubhouse how deeply audio goes in my creative space.
Mhm.
And I got a chance on that app to really exercise my voice and enjoy bringing people in and helping them find their voices. So it was a whole community, including Chris, of
Mhm.
finding our voices. You couldn't have asked for a better training ground for content creators to be in,
Mhm.
as you
Mhm.
know.
Yes.
So Chris and I have always had a really great rapport. He's had me on his channel. I've done live streams there, and he introduced me to Annalie Hansen, who was working with him as another teacher on his future academy, and also just part of Chris's empire.
Right.
And Annalie really brought this wonderful brand strategy voice to Clubhouse, and then I started my own Clubhouse channel with Leon Rodriguez, who is
Mhm.
also a designer and mostly exhibition design,
Mhm.
and now turned entrepreneur. He's launching an amazing new product. Well, hopefully everything will be good. So the three of us had this design career masterclass, and we just make up stuff. It was really low risk, very high
Mhm.
reward.
Mhm.
So that's how I know Chris. He also has been pushing me. He's like, you need to be speaking more. So you need to be, it's on me like all these things. So I started my coaching, a new coaching site called Rebuild. That's abbreviated rebld.org.
Mhm.
And that's a new coaching site to get my teaching outside of the walls of ArtCenter. And also, I'm writing a book.
Which I'm so excited for this. So
It,
tell us about the book.
it is a series of interconnected essays about how to navigate challenges, not just in a creative career, but in life.
Mm.
And I wish I could give you a title, but I don't know the title yet. There's about 6 titles in the works. But it was really, it actually started out being more like I was going to write a tips and tricks for, professional
Mhm.
career stuff.
Mhm.
And I just found it that when I started that, it's like, this is boring. There's so many books out there that can do that. So I tried to figure out what, like, like the story I told you about my first teaching class at ArtCenter,
Yeah.
I had to really dig deep and find out what it is that I know.
Mm.
And I know that we are functioning in layers. There's this top layer that's a very strong imposed atmosphere, like stress and
Mm.
tension and distraction. And then there's this really dense layer that is, if you want to get through this, you really have to have discipline and figure out how to be fearless and dive through a difficult transformational layer
Mhm.
get to the reward, which is like this beautiful way that you can be resonating with the work that you do and a life that you've designed.
Mm.
So it's an interesting over under
Mhm.
sensibility. Like if you drew a line and there's this atmosphere here, that layer, and then sort of this really interesting natural ecosystem here,
Mhm.
that's what I'm looking at. And that just happens to be a lot of the underwater photography I do. It's this
Oh.
above and below, the split screen stuff.
Uh-huh.
So as I'm digging deep, I'm looking at what inspires me, and I realize that the solution to this book has been there, always hidden in plain sight for me. So
Wow.
that's what I can't wait. It'll probably be out in November, I
Mhm.
think. But it's really amazing to have a first draft behind you.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
So back to the question at hand, I'm doing what Chris has told me because if I'm going to speak, I've really got to speak on something that is like hyper authentic to me and super interesting to not just graphic designers,
Mhm.
but designers and people that identify as creative people that are struggling and they need a new view. They need a reframing tool. And I think this is a good one.
So let's talk about identity for just a minute. Um, with everything that's going on right now, identity is something that's being challenged, and it's part of the reason we chose this title today of who are we now. So as designers are being challenged by this very rapid fire technological advancing world, and we have these principles that we've always held on to. They're sort of the structure and foundation of design. Do you think that this is going to shift? Do you think our identity as designers is shifting, and that's why this is so um, scary and tumultuous right now?
It it has to shift.
Mm.
We don't have a choice. I mean, we're functioning in a world that um, is is becoming automated, abbreviated.
Mhm.
It we are primed to do well in it by our training, honestly. So I am optimistic about us. I'm optimistic about us not having to do some of the more mundane tasks and to be able to solve deeper problems. I just feel like its effect on our humanity has been
Mm.
extraordinarily difficult.
Mhm.
I'm just finding that there's an emotional fragility
Mhm.
that I'm seeing in not just students, but young designers, young people, and that emotional challenge interrupts our ability to make decisions
Mhm.
and to listen to our intuition.
Mhm.
And without those two things, it's very hard to be our best creative selves. So I feel like what we can do now is have a deeper awareness of what is going on that is taking that humanity away,
Mhm.
and what we have that is able to be regained.
Mm.
So there's a lot of talk of this in the book that I've written. It's really about, a lot of it is disconnecting, but it's not just disconnecting from devices. It's actually reconnecting with what isn't necessarily evident until we really look for it on a deeper level.
Mhm.
It Without it, I just don't think we can be the
Mhm.
best that we can be.
Mhm.
Um, it's a real weird thing. I'm starting this coaching business at the time when AI is just ask me anything. And
Yeah.
we've got bots and everything, and I'll help you with an interview. But how meaningful is that? I think learning how we best learn,
Mhm.
I don't know that we'll really learn deeply unless we're learning with humanity in mind.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, we're in bodies. That's the thing.
We're in bodies, and all this distraction keeps us from understanding our bodies. There's a concept that I really love that is called transformational tension.
Mm.
So people experience anxiety, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's really important to try and parse out what you're anxious about, because sometimes you're anxious because there's been so much imposed on you and you're being distracted.
Mhm.
But there's another kind of anxiety that I think is positive, and that is that you are making enormous change, and change is challenging.
Mm.
So it's positive. You're feeling unsure, but your goal is to better your understanding of something. And you have to get through either the rigor of doing it, or the
Mhm.
pressure of doing it, or the challenge of just change. So I guess one thing I'm going to start teaching is trying to figure out what's imposed anxiety from let's say, just from our devices, or the actual transformation anxiety, which we
Ah.
should welcome because it is positive, and it is the thing that we're going to be able to gain confidence from, because we are learning slowly to get through something that's really, really hard. And I don't think that kind of thinking's been out that much.
Mm-mm.
Again,
No,
transformational tension.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I really can't wait to read your book. So one other question I have for you is, can you talk about the difference between learning to design and being a designer? Is there a difference?
Yeah, I think, this is the difference between maybe, um, let's say, student and professional.
Mhm.
You in school, we're learning design fundamentals, we're using learning tools, we're using strategies, and everything's quite hypothetical. And I know it sounds logical, but then you're learning to be a designer because you've got to apply all those things in environments that are conducive for you to do your best work. So learning how to be a designer, you have to be a designer. I think it's really hard to do that in environments that are not let's just say commercial
Mhm.
environments, because you're really tested in ways that unfortunately, schools just can't prepare you for.
Mhm.
So it's interesting because I just had a guest speaker in my MDes at Arts and MDes class at ArtCenter. His name's Jim Bogenreef.
Mm.
And Jim is global head of design at JP Morgan Chase.
Oh, wow.
Former student. I mean, he's here, and he showed us a slide that had that horizontal line. The word talent was below that line, and the word relationships was above that line.
Mm.
And he talked about the difference between learning how to design or being a designer versus how we get from just being a technical designer, which is not a judgment, but many people want to be paid more. They want greater opportunities. They want a bigger reach for their voice and their vision. And the barrier is your ability or lack of ability to understand relationships. So with both the talent and relationships, one is able to find more opportunities. So learning how to be a designer, I think, is beyond the design fundamentals and into the relationships with understanding collaborations, understanding your relationships you'll have with people who don't have design training, whether they're marketing people, engineers, business leaders. So that's, I think, a really important way that we've got to understand communication, persuasion, interaction, and the bonds that we have with humans. Because the more we automate ourselves out of convenience, the less apt we are to have the opportunities that are going to give us the greatest chance for our voice to be heard at a greater scale.
Yeah. It also seems like the human part of us is going to become the most valuable part of us. As you said, it's less, could be less and less accessible, and people are going to crave it more.
Yeah, people are going to crave it more, and they know. I mean, it's been very sweet in teaching, and I'm sure all the teachers in the room have seen this. Like, students are astonished when they get out into nature. It's like, oh my gosh, I went for a walk and this amazing stuff happened.
Wow.
I went to the botanical gardens, or I went here, or I went camping. And I mean, the relief that they feel when they disconnect and then reconnect with nature, and how that just wrings out the towel for them and lets them start anew, is one of the most joyful things we see. And, we've lived longer and we've seen, like, we know how important this is. And when it's this amazing revelation, it's like, yeah, start singing songs. Because then you can start breathing again. A student was having trouble with her anxiety before presentations last term. And I asked her, do you sing? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, on your way, wherever you are before your presentation, just start singing, because it'll regulate your breath. And so, I could have taught her the yogic breathing exercises or the whatever, but she could sing songs that mean so much to her and are really beautiful, just as easily to re-regulate her breath and to calm herself down. Stuff's fun. Teaching's fun.
And that's another good point, the emotional regulation. I, take for granted so many things I do naturally, but there are generations that don't have the same type of connection, or they went through high school in the pandemic.
Yeah.
What are 3 steps you would give somebody if they feel like they need to reconnect to their environment or themselves? We've got singing, breathing. Is there something else that you would advise up and coming designers to connect to?
Spend real time with people that are positive, and start trying to align yourself with communities of positive people. Because sometimes when we're in these emotional spirals, we'll find people that are like, yeah, it's just that bad. So there's a commiseration club, and that is really not very useful. But to find people that are optimistic, that speak about I know it's this weird word, but just love of the craft, love of what you're doing. And if those people tend to get, or you can get yourself into human interaction that isn't about judgment and isn't about complaining. And I also would encourage people to learn from different generations, because we kind of tend to give a lot more weight to people that are our age because we think oh, they have the experience. But again, sometimes those are like closed loop spinning things. To learn from somebody who had to go through something and has a way of being able to have you not have to go through it, like a mentor, or learning from someone younger that is just fresh and has a fresh perspective. So this multi-generational aspect of humanity, I think, is something to look deeply at for ways, is an antidote to what is oppressive and finding ourselves too deep in.
That's beautiful. Is there a
I mean,
student?
actually, what's happening now is I'm kind of a pop psych geek. So I listen to lots of podcasts, and there's a lot of podcasts right now about the experiences that young men are having, the real challenges with a whole generation of men in their 20s and early 30s. And ultimately, it comes down to finding intergenerational communities of men that you can build trust with. I'm going to bring up something else.
Yes, please.
So there's two ways to learn. Okay, and this sounds simplistic, but there's two ways to learn. There's learning through light and learning through pain. Okay, so when you're learning through pain, you're having to go through and figure that out, and it taking its toll on you, which is a really important way humans have learned over time, through pain, right? The other one is light, and light is knowledge that other humans have that you can tap into because they've already gone through the pain. So you're looking for the light, and you're looking for those. That's why a lot of young people really want good mentors, because they realize it's too exhausting to try and do this, start and have to reinvent the wheel when someone they care for and respect that also cares for and respects them can just tell them.
That's beautiful. Is there a experience with a student that you found really inspiring that kind of stays with you through your years of teaching at ArtCenter, where you integrated that into your actual life and practice?
I would say it's happened many times. I've been very blessed with amazing students that are open and that trust me. I try and give them truth with kindness, so that trust is there. There is a former student I had. This is a story that comes to mind. There's a former student I had at ArtCenter in a presentation skills class. She was from transportation design. And she graduated, and we had a great time in class. I really respected her, and I knew she was up for greatness. She got a terrific job outside in transportation design, but started to ask me to help her as a personal coach, as a creative career and presentation coach. And her issue was that she was doing well, but her boss would kind of take over. Her boss wanted her to give better presentations. And what was happening is her boss was kind of taking over when they were making presentations together. So I had to teach her how to teach her boss before I was able to teach her how to be a better presenter. I had to teach her how to establish a better relationship with her boss. The boss was a great guy, don't get me wrong. It's just he was more of an extrovert, and he would feel like he always would take center stage. And so he was disabling her ability to grow and learn as her own presenter. So it was really fun to kind of hack at that and realize I had to teach her about him and training him before I could actually help her.
That's really powerful, because I know there are a lot of introverts out there, myself included,
Mhm.
and learning how to navigate a very extroverted workplace and set boundaries and educate people about what you need is a whole process in itself. Um, if you were to, let's just use me because I'm sitting here, give me advice on how to handle more dominating workplaces where, as you, when you first met me, I'm a little shy, I'm a little quiet. Um, if I were to express or try to express what I needed and it wasn't heard, what would be my next step?
I think it's really important to let people understand
Mhm.
that you want to think it through.
Mm.
And when you do, you will be able to get back to them.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
I think these meetings and these accelerated times of that extroverts are taking over,
Mhm.
they're just, they're just spitballing.
Mhm.
Where I believe, I understand that as introverts, you're really trying to think all this through, and you could probably come up with something so much more valuable if
Mhm.
just given a moment.
Mhm.
So the idea of interjecting and saying, that is a really interesting idea. I'd like to think that through
Mhm.
because there are some connections I would like to make. So you are inviting people into the thought process that you are committing yourself to be able to be contributing to this whatever um,
Mhm.
problem you're solving.
Mhm.
So at least people are understanding really there's something to come and we need it.
Mhm.
So you are letting us know that you're going to bring something really valuable because you have an ability to think this thing through in a totally different way. And just saying, I think I might have a unique perspective on this, but I'd like to think it through because there are some notes I want to reference, and I promise to get back tomorrow or whatever it is. But just don't let everything happen without you establishing the value that you believe you can contribute once you have thought it through. How does that land, Heather?
Oh, I love it. That's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Um, there was I wish I remembered. I'm a huge geek listening to Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett's.
Oh, I love him.
He had this trial attorney on, and I'm like, trial attorney, like I'm going to listen to a trial attorney. But this guy was talking about how pauses and silence in negotiation and all those things of just like stepping back and not having that knee-jerk extroversion reaction
Oh.
helps significantly in negotiations. I wish I could pinpoint that guy's name, but I don't have it on the tip of my tongue.
Mm. Yeah, I've heard that too, that and it's true in music, if we use the auditory
Oh,
thing, the silence and the pause in between all the notes and in conversations, it's really the powerful point.
yeah. Oh, and when I teach motion design students at ArtCenter,
Mhm, mhm.
I don't ever ask them anymore, "Are you a musician?" I don't ask them. What I
It's
ask them
true.
now is, "What musical instrument do you play?"
Yeah.
Because when they are good at motion design, they're excellent. As they are trained musicians because they understand timing, cadence,
Yes.
pauses, builds. I mean, it's brilliant.
Mhm. I can't agree more. That was part of my transition into motion design, was because of my past. It was
What?
like m
What instrument do you play?
I was a dancer, so
Ah,
my body was the instrument, but
oh,
I feel that was a very natural transition. You're 100% dead on, of course. All right,
you know,
Petula.
I just want to say to like younger people in the room that might feel like, all these vintage folks are saying like 30 years of experience. All this means is that we've seen a lot of change.
Mm.
We don't know everything. We've just seen a lot of change. And so when change is coming more rapidly to us, it's really interesting to see what is the light that we have that we can help others not have to go through these things with too much pain.
Yeah, true. I mean, if you can sidestep some of the pain, why not?
Yes.
So we are at the 45-minute mark, and if you have any questions for Petrula, please put them in the chat, and I can read the questions to her. You are also welcome, and I have one more question for her when I finish this question, to turn on your camera and raise your hand if you would like to speak with Petrula directly. So my last question for you is, what are you listening to and reading besides your book right now?
As I mentioned, I'm a huge fan. I'm a podcast junkie because I realize all this time I thought I was a visual learner. I'm an auditory learner, so I'm a podcast junkie. Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett is phenomenal. I'm really loving Modern Wisdom by Chris Williamson. He's mostly speaking to men. I love that I'm not his audience. But what I really love when I'm learning is to know how others are experiencing their lives and how others are bettering their lives. I read recently Rick Rubin's The Creative Act, which is a must read. And of course, I listened to it on Audible because I'm an auditory learner. But it's beautifully designed. I think Pentagram designed it. So those of you who are design geeks, you're going to love it. I also reread a book by my friend and famous breathwork coach, Max Strom, and it's called "There Is No App for Happiness: How to Avoid a Near-Life Experience."
Whoa.
So Max identified years ago how our apps and how our reliance on them for being a portal to the world would diminish our ability to find our own joy. So again, that's Max Strom, Strom. And in general, Chris, there's one more book to read. It's called This Is What It Sounds Like, and it's by Susan Rogers and Ogi Olgas. And Susan, and they're talking about the neuroscience of sound, like what the music you like says about you and how sound affects the body. It would be so great for you, Heather, because of your dance background, your physicality. And it's a way for us to connect our sonic learning to our physical body, because as we're really in this struggle of concentration, I think we're relying a little too much on our eyes, and it's exhausting. So a reconnection with our ears and our bodies, I think that book is really super helpful.
Ooh,
and of course, I have to, and I'm not just saying this, I adore Chris. Chris Stowe's The Future podcast is just a must, because we're just not getting enough business and design thinking. And Chris is just rocking it. It's been such a joy to see him do so well and be so dedicated to trying to teach billions of people to learn to love what they do.
Yeah, agreed. So if you missed some of those books, Devron is putting the links in the chat, so feel free to check those out. I do have a question here from Kelly Ann Johnson. She asks, you talked about the feeling of transition different from the feeling of anxiety. Can you share a significant transition in your own career and how it felt?
There have been so many. I think it would be, I don't know if you were here early when we started, Kelly, but just being in a a room as a 27-year-old, as a teacher at one of the finest design colleges in the world. You got a class of people, like, that's anxiety, right? That's incredible anxiety. Like, I had not taught before, and here I am. So that anxiety is transformational anxiety. Like, I have now a goal to be able to have them listen. I don't know what I'm doing, but I am the energy is being channeled for good. It's not just spinning energy. I'm not just anxious. I am ready for a transformation, or even getting ready for this podcast today. As much as I know how to do public speaking, I'm a little nervous, and I'm thinking, transformational tension. I'll take a breath, because this is not anxiety that's out of my control. This is anxiety that is going to give me the momentum to better myself and help others. Does that help, Kelly?
Yes, I think that's a great answer. We
Oh,
have another. I think it's great. We have another question here from Devron, and he says, "Do you think some designers fail because they're better suited at managing and relationships and interactions? Personally, I'm finding more fulfillment in landing clients and distributing work as opposed to being locked into a daily design task."
I'm I I just want to make sure I've got the question right.
Okay.
Is he asking about whether or not someone should be relying on their relationship skills more than their talent?
I think he's asking if you're better at relationships, um, and you're working on your talent, do you fail because you have a less developed talent pool and you're better at hobnobbing with other people?
It's interesting, because we teaching at ArtCenter, we have incredibly talented students. There are some students that have better social skills, better soft skills, and they
Mhm.
will accelerate in their careers faster. And
Oh.
sometimes they don't have some of the design chops that the others do.
Mhm.
And it just goes to the point, like, the relationship aspect is really important. At some point, they get so high up on the food chain, they've got good discernment of design, but they don't do it anymore because they're actually guiding others to do it. So I
Mhm.
don't have any judgment about that. What I would aspire to do and be is have incredible talent. So you have the confidence of that talent as you move that through to the relationship part. That would be ideal, but it, however you need to get there, or whether your talent is yours, whether your talent is finding the right talent, whether your talent is guiding the right talent or inspiring the right talent as a leader.
Mhm.
There's many ways to enter this career that aren't about being the design star.
Mhm. Do you think talent is something that you're born with, or do you think it can be developed, or is it both?
I know, I know, I know it can be both,
Mhm.
because we see students all the time, come in with different talents or just aspirations, and our job as teachers is just to activate and energize whatever we can to get them deeply committed to understanding it, and and using it over and over again to gain confidence with it. I mean, I never was a great. I don't draw that well. I did in college, but I don't draw that well. And a lot of designers are like, oh, drawing is everything. Drawing is this, drawing that, and it's like, well, uh, but what happened is I kind of learned to draw with my ears, right?
Mhm.
I really hear, I understand things and can paint pictures and make patterns and connections because I'm really listening.
Mhm.
So I know it goes both ways. But what I do see is that a lot of design programs, and not ArtCenter, but a lot of design programs aren't teaching they're teaching decent fundamentals, but not current ways of working. And I think they're doing their students a disservice, because I think talent, it needs to be cultivated in the ecosystem, for the ecosystem that it's going to be functioning in. So if those design programs are rooted in creating discrete artifacts and not creating systems of design and understanding, and they're doing their students a disservice.
Mm-hmm. For those people who don't know what systems that you're referring to, can you speak to a little bit about communication and design systems and sort of just the basics of what you teach?
The best person is Meredith Davis for this. Meredith Davis is a extraordinary design education leader that talks about the incredible transition of our entire field from designing discrete artifacts into designing for systems. Because when we understand the ecosystem of what we're creating and how it fits into that, we have a greater power to see its ability to thrive or be challenged along the way. The more myopic we are, I mean, the less effective we're going to be. I mean, I watch, young designers just fret over kerning as the world's burning, right? Like, what's going on here? How can design be more effective in the world? And one of the things we forget is that we really know how to activate things, both visually and verbally, and how to put them out, and how we can really help others make massive change. We're still in this myopic way that we think we can do it ourselves, but we can't. It's a community of collaborators that have different strengths that are going to have the power to be able to accelerate change in the world.
Oh, beautiful. I
You
think
got me going, Heather.
that's a perfect place for us to wrap up this podcast. One more call for questions. If you have any, please drop it in the chat. Otherwise, Petrula, please, can you tell people, once your book is available, where they can find it or where they should be checking to watch for its release?
I will be talking about it a lot through my coaching site, which is just up. It's new. I mean, just like fresh. Press the button yesterday. And that's rebuild.org, REBLD.org. And that's my coaching, creative career coaching site. And I'm really looking forward to having some offerings that are group offerings and individual one-on-one. And I'll be talking about it there. I have my own professional site, 35k.com, and that's Vrontikis Design Office. So I'll have stuff up there. I just started Instagram for Rebuild with Petrula. So please follow me, because you'll see I just started, and it's embarrassing to just start. So I'm there. I want to know you. I want to be able to show you what's up and see what's up going on with everybody in the world. I'm on LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn, and I'll follow you back. I love my LinkedIn group. I think I have like maybe 5,000 people there, and I usually do my business stuff through LinkedIn. So I'll definitely have it on LinkedIn. And I wish I could tell you the name of it to look for, but it doesn't have a name yet.
That's okay. As long as we know where it's going to show up, we'll be there.
And I think there's something coming out recently on Instagram that's part of my involvement in ArtCenter's MDes, Master of Brand Design and Strategy. There's a little profile that's going up, coming up, I think today or this week or soon. So I'm really kicking in the visibility thing. Chris is on my back. Christo is on my back. Finally, I'm able to say, okay, Chris, I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a catalyst. That's for
He's
sure.
definitely a catalyst. And yeah.
All right. I have one last question that's just squeaking in here, and I will ask this and then we'll close the room. Thank you, Petrula. How do we preserve authorship and individual voice in a time when everything is generated, templated, and trained on the past? I'm trying to stay adaptable without becoming generic. How do we keep our work honest? This is from Zach Ludlow.
Zach, I wish I knew. I wish I could shine light on this. Um, okay, I'm just coming up with something. I think, Zach, it's about you can't stop or change this thing, but what you have some control over is yourself. So you, knowing how important it is for you to stay true to what it is that you're believing and what your motivations are and how you're going to help your creative light shine through taking care of your physical body, feeding your mind with positive things, you're going to be creating the best you can create. I don't think we can do anything other than take care of ourselves and the communities that we hold close. But we have that control over our happiness. Because if we're looking for too much happiness in that algorithmic world, we're just not going to find it. So we've got to really see where to keep our vision pure. How's that for life?
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. It's true. It's true. We can always take care of ourselves. Petrula, my God, it's been so wonderful to speak with you
Oh,
today.
Henry, what
I
a
have
pleasure.
been looking forward to this for weeks. Please check out Petrula's site. Please watch out for her upcoming book, and please follow her on Instagram and LinkedIn.
Rebuild with Petrula.
Rebuild with Petrula.
And rebuild is abbreviated REBLD.
Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us today. This has been another edition of the Developing Life podcast.
Oh, thank you, everybody. Nice to see you all.